Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Yesterday I did a very short flash video about Humza Yousaf misleading Parliament, the public and the press, and basically lying his head off over what was happening with regards to travel to Spain during the pandemic. And he always insisted that it was never political. Unfortunately, of course, for him, the truth is at somewhat of a variance as to his words. And we know this because his own emails have been released. Emails between different people have been released. It's all there in quite obvious black and white that he is an absolute two-faced liar. A mendacious, lying bastard. And he needs to go. Now, I said yesterday that he should resign. Of course, he won't. He's Humza Yousaf. Lying comes as easy to him as breathing. He has no guilt over it. And so he will not resign no matter how many lies he gets caught out in. And he'll probably just lie about this to try and cover his other lies. That's what the SNP do. But it needs to be constantly fought. He needs to be shown time and time again that he is a liar. And that no one will ever believe anything that comes out of that fat, ugly, lying gob at the front of his head. Let's take a look at his latest obvious and well-founded lies again. Here goes. So, Humza Yousaf accused of misleading Parliament over lifting of Spain travel ban during COVID. Now, they use the term misleading Parliament. What they mean there is absolute lies. He lied to Parliament. He lied on the floor. He lied to the people. He lied to the press. He lied to everyone. This is a ministerial breach. He must put himself forward to be inspected, to be, judged by ministerial standards. If he doesn't, we know he's a moral coward. We know that anyway, but this will be the final clinching proof. If he is so secure that what he said was the truth, then he'll have no bother whatsoever in referring himself to the standards. And if he has breached the ministerial code, then of course he has to resign. There's no two ways. He will be expected to. So you can guarantee he will not be putting himself forward for a ministerial inspection, as it were. The First Minister said it was fantasy to suggest the July 2020 travel corridor decision was taken on political grounds. But now emails prove that Scotland's relationship with Spain was a factor. And of course we all knew it was. But he lives in this delusional world that he thinks that Spain, no matter how nice he is, will somehow allow an independent Scotland to enter the EU. They won't. And neither will Italy. Neither will France. Neither will Belgium. None of them. None of them will do so. Humza Yousaf has been accused of misleading Parliament after new emails came to light regarding travel to Spain during the pandemic. The damaging claim by Douglas Ross represents a major new threat to the First Minister. This is what happens when you keep lying, though, isn't it? Because if you can't tell the truth, you will eventually get caught. And he's been caught many times. But to have lied in the House, that's serious. The UK COVID-19 inquiry revealed that a senior Scottish Government civil servant warned that failure to lift a travel ban in 2020 would hamper a separate Scotland's chances of joining the EU. This shouldn't be a civil service job to do that. That's deciding policy. Civil service are there to enact policy, not decide it. Why is the civil service getting on into political decisions? Not their place. The evidence added weight to the claims that officials at St Andrew's House have gone native, which they have. So First Minister's questions, Mr Yousaf told the Conservative leader the decision to exempt Spain from the tough restrictions was taken for purely epidemiological reasons. We now know, of course, that that is complete and utter horseshit. Because explosive new emails show there was a political element to the move. Responding to the story in the Mail on Sunday, Mr Ross said, those who lost loved ones will rightly be appalled that even at the height of the pandemic, the SNP was still gaming their independence obsession. He continued, Humza Yousaf has some serious explaining to do. It would appear from this explosive email chain that the First Minister misled Parliament when he assured me of FMQs that the decision to exempt Spain was taken for purely epidemiological reasons. These messages reinforce what we learned at the UK COVID inquiry, that the SNP government were influenced by the political ramifications of maintaining a travel ban rather than solely public safety. Because of course, we all knew it. Oh, we'll be nice. We'll kiss the arse, you know. We'll kiss the ring. We'll be on bended knee to Spain. And if we ever get independent, Spain will say, sure, you can come in the EU. In just the same way that Catalonia can't. Isn't going to happen, is it? So here we go. So from Deputy First Minister and Cabinet Secretary for Education and Skills, sent on the 19th of July 2020 to Deputy First Minister and Capital Education and Skills. Oh, copying them in. Thompson Cal, Swinney John, First Minister, Cabinet Secretary for Justice, Cabinet Secretary for Health and Sport, Chief Medical Officer, DCMO Health, COVID-19, McDonald A, Holiday R, Chief Statistician, Whiteman S, Sutherland RE, Grieve DA, somebody whose name we're not allowed to see, Hicks C, and Griffin J, and then somebody else whose name we're not allowed to see. Subject: call to discuss international travel. When? 20th of July 2020, 11 to 12. Dublin at that time, yeah. Where? Dial-in details in diary entry. So it's remote meeting was having. I'm extremely concerned about this. Spain is now being held to a much higher level of scrutiny and performance than other countries. If it is not added to the exemptions list, ministers will have to explain why not, when it has an estimated point prevalence of 0.015 compared to 0.33 when the decision not included was originally taken. 0.015 is verging on green, and there is visible action from Spanish authorities to do whatever it takes to suppress outbreaks, and then bracket compare and contrast with outbreaks in England. Said it won't matter how much ministers might justify it on health grounds, the Spanish government will conclude it is entirely political. They won't forget. There is a real possibility they will never approve EU membership for an independent Scotland as a result. And there, in that email, the decision to exempt Spain was purely political. Humza Yousaf lied. And he lied the worst possible place, on the floor. FMQs. He lied. Breach of ministerial code like that. He must report himself. Anyway, the original message highlighted by the inquiry was from Scott Whiteman, the Director of Internal Affairs. He wrote to the former Director General for Strategy and External Affairs, Ken Thompson, on that date. We've gone through it. We're not going to go through it again there. Pressed on the implications of the messages at FMQs, Mr Yousaf openly scoffed at Scott's Tory leader. To suggest the decision on Spain was made for any other reason than epidemiology is, I'm afraid, a fantasy. He said when the situation in Spain worsened considerably, just a matter of days later, all the UK nations decided to take it off the exempt list. Again, we made the decisions for purely epidemiological reasons, even though it was made clear in that email that was not the case. It was highlighted. It would not be forgiven. They would not forget or forgive, and they would never allow Scotland in if they didn't keep it off the list. And so off the list it was kept, and they could still go to Spain for a few more days. Deary, deary me. Screw people, screw safety, screw protocol. It's all about independence. It's all about getting back in the EU. It's all about the politics. Humza Yousaf has been caught out again, lying, but at the worst possible place. As I say, at FMQs in Holyrood. He's got to report himself. It was Mr Yousaf himself, as Justice Secretary, who announced the opening of a travel corridor to Spain on July the 20th, 2020 at 1:24 p.m. the same day. It can now be revealed Mr Whiteman sent another email saying, What has to be decided and notified to Parliament today is the need for maintaining the regulations and politically a decision on Spain. He was responding to an official Scottish Government note explaining the decision, which said that both people's freedom of movement and Scotland's external relationships, including with Spain, were being adversely affected by the travel restrictions. However, a ban on travel to Spain was introduced 6 days later amid growing concern at the COVID numbers. And at the time, Mr. Yousaf said there was a very worrying picture of a rapid rise in cases. But that's 6 days later. That's nearly a week later. For that week, he opened that route up simply for political manoeuvrings. He knows it. He's lying. Time to go, Humza. Time to go, you two-faced, lying, mendacious piece of human filth. Coming up. For that week, he was happy to risk the lives, not just of Spaniards, but of Scots and English and Welsh and Northern Irish, because there were other people going up into Scotland to get a flight out to Spain for the week, because Spain was still open as far as Scotland was concerned. It was just England that stopped the flights. And for him to claim, oh, it was all epidemiological sound, it was fine. No, it wasn't. Purely political. Black and white. There it is. Political manoeuvrings. Caught out lying and endangering people's lives for political ends. It's not good enough. He must go now. But he won't. He'll cling on because he's so desperate. Because what else has he got? Once he goes, he's finished. And of course the Greens are finished too, because there's only one person that's going to come in behind him. But he must go. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.